Hi guys, welcome back. I've got a slightly different video for you today. My two recent videos which were really popular were the Nikon F5 and the Leica M-mount Voigtlander Nokton lens video, 50mm 1.2. So I thought to try to appeal to more people, what if I could make a video to fuse together the Nikon experience with the Voigtlander lens experience. So today, that's what I've got for you. Join me, and today I'll introduce you to Nikon Mount Voigtlander lenses. The best of both worlds if you shoot Nikon and you like Voigtlander. Let's take a look. Hello, welcome back. Matt from MrLeica.com. I hope you guys are all well. I started recording and realising wearing grey on a grey background I was kind of disappearing into the background, so I've stuck a blue gel on. If you like the new look, let me know in the description and I can try using coloured gels in future videos, just to explain why I've suddenly gone a bit bluey green. Okay, so to give some background story to this video, I'll explain the situation I was in and then maybe you can relate. Some years ago, probably about 10 years ago maybe, I was shooting with Nikon digital cameras. This is actually a film camera for a future video. Stay tuned if you want to see this camera. But ignore the camera. Just the fact that it's a Nikon camera and I was using big-ish lenses like this. The lenses are not important, it's just to point out the size of the lens and the fact that I was shooting digital Nikon at the time. Then, at the same time, I discovered the Voigtlander Bessar R3A film camera, which is a rangefinder camera, similar to the Leica M6 we've got here. And in particular, the lens that came on that camera is the Voigtlander Nokton Classic 40mm f1.4. So I guess just try to visualize the situation. On one hand, I was using a camera similar size to this Leica M6, but not quite as nice, but almost identical form factor and this lens. So I was shooting film with this, and then I'd pick up my Nikon camera to shoot digital. So look at the form factor of this. You know what an M6 looks like. Okay, so this was my film setup, more or less. And then there was my digital setup, more or less. This is obviously a film camera, but only look at the lenses. Again, the lens is just for example, so I know you can get smaller lenses for Nikon, but generally speaking, they are much bigger than rangefinder lenses. So SLR camera with an SLR lens, rangefinder camera with a rangefinder lens. So do you see my problem? This is one of the reasons I went to Leica. I was enjoying the amazing lenses on the Voigtlander camera at the time, and then I was having to go back to other lenses, call it what you want, on the Nikon system. I'm like, this is absolute rubbish, because of just to kind of geek out for a second, you can't mount a Voigtlander like M-mount lens onto a Nikon SLR camera because of kind of the distance that it mounts from the film plane or the sensor. So I was loving this lens and I couldn't mount it onto a Nikon, which is kind of killing me because I knew how amazing this lens was. So to cut a story short, I wasn't enjoying the D800 Nikon digital images anyway, so I bought a Leica M9 instead, and that solved all those problems. But this video is for people that are shooting Nikon SLRs or Nikon DSLRs, but would love the ability to shoot with the amazing optics that you can get from Voigtlander. So with that said, some years later, I discovered that Voigtlander actually make SLR or DSLR lenses in Nikon mount and Canon mount. Now again, I don't know everything and people can correct me in the description below, but from my understanding, there's a 20mm Voigtlander, a 28mm Voigtlander, a 40mm and a 58mm. Now these lenses are made by Casino Voigtlander, Japan, and they kept being kind of updated over the period. So for example, this is the Voigtlander Color Skopar 20mm f3.5 SL, and I guess you'd call this the SL1. And I say SL1 for two reasons. The first reason, it doesn't say 2 on the front, which maybe gives it away. But if you're not looking at the numbers on the front, there are also slight design differences. The SL1 has a rubber focus ring, whereas the SL2, I believe, has a metal focus ring. So this is the Voigtlander 20mm SL1, we'll call it, and this lens is Nikon F-mount. So as you can see, this will fit on the Nikon cameras. And I guess a great way to demonstrate how small it is put it on the massive Nikon F5. So Nikon F5, big camera, very nice camera, but a big camera. And then Nikon F5 with a 20mm lens on. It almost disappears kind of completely behind the grip. It's that small. Look at that. This is why I bought these SL lenses. The size is amazing, but also you get the optical quality that you get from the kind of the high-end Voigtlander lenses. So like kind of two benefits in one. Putting it on the Nikon F5 is perhaps not a great example, because if you're going to carry a big camera, then you'd be happy to carry a big lens. So that is the 20mm. I'll come on to some more details in a second. Next is the 28mm. I don't actually own the 28mm Voigtlander SL lens, but it's a similar-ish design, kind of looking to the 20mm. Okay, next up is the Voigtlander 40mm f2 Ultron. Now this lens has got a quirky design because this is a hood which you can unscrew. Then excuse the dust. Underneath it looks similar again to the 20mm. So as you can see, this is also an SL1, and again it has the rubber focus ring. A quick way to tell if you're, say, looking on eBay. Again, I'll come into more details in a second, but this lens is extremely useful, and this is probably one of my most used lenses on Nikon SLR cameras. Do you want to see the size? Firstly, let me show you the size against the 20mm. Okay, so 20mm, you're like, oh, that must be the smallest lens. It's so cool. Really nice and small. 40mm. Look at that. So the 40mm is even smaller than the 20mm. This lens is absolutely flipping amazing. Mainly because of the size, but also wide open at f2. I'll show you some examples in a second. It is super sharp at f2 wide open. Okay, so for practical use, and if you're a Nikon SLR shooter, or maybe a Canon SLR shooter, or DSLR shooter, I guess, you want a small body. So here we have a Nikon FM2N, which you may have seen in one of my recent videos. Very similar to the FM, FE, FE2, FM3A. All of those are the same size. So if you enjoy the size of those cameras, but you're annoyed at how big maybe your 50mm lens is, or whatever lens you're using, generally speaking, it's going to be a lot bigger than this, apart from perhaps the Nikon 50mm 1.8 E series. I might include that in a future video. So here's the Nikon FM2N, and there's the with the 40mm f2 lens. Look at the size. Now, because this lens is so small, this is one of my kind of most well-travelled SLR lenses. And now suddenly we're getting more comparable to a Leica setup. So let's just go back to Leica for a second. So Leica M6, which we just looked at, with a 40mm f1.4. Nikon FM2N with 40mm f2 Voigtlander. And now, that's the best way to show it. Now it's really starting to get quite comparable. The Nikon body is actually lighter than the Leica M6, which might surprise you. I think it's 560 grams, 540, I think. And then again, the lenses, this lens may be slightly heavier. I'd have to check, but the weight and form now is getting really quite close. So then if you do want the benefits of a SLR style camera, meaning you can focus closer, it's not quite as annoying to carry a big fat heavy SLR camera around when you can carry a small camera such as this. And what's even better, these lenses are chipped, so you can use them on a more modern Nikon SLR camera. So we've put the lens on this later Nikon SLR camera. Again, look at the size. Such a nice size. This is a lot smaller than your kit lenses. It's a lot smaller than, say, a 51.8, 51.4. And it weighs absolutely nothing. I'm excited to review this camera. I haven't tested it yet, but this is crazy, crazy light. And that size, that gives me a lot of hope for traveling with this camera. Anyway, what was I talking about? Yes, metering. So one thing I wanted to show was this lens will work on a modern SLR or DSLR camera. So at the moment, you see it says FEE, basically error. That's because the lens needs to be stepped down to f22 on the camera body. And now you can see it's at f2, and the aperture works in body. So absolutely fine, and the lens meters properly as well. So it works just as well as any kind of Nikon lens designed for this camera. Really good lens. And there's still one more to come. So again, I'll give you the details in a second. We'll go back to it. But quickly, one more lens. Now this next lens is said to be one of the best 50mm lenses ever made. Whether that's true or not is probably up for debate, as everyone has their preferences. And after recently reviewing the 50mm 1.2 and owning the Leica Similux 50mm 1.4 spherical, There are some amazing 50mm lenses out there, but this lens is also really special. This looks beautiful without even doing anything. Even just the lens coating is amazing. I could just watch that all day and that could be the video. But no, I'll try and give you more useful information. So this is what they call the silver nose, or the silver version of the Voigtlander 50mm 1.8 classic SL lens again. So again, for any Nikon shooters, you see the design there. Try and get it so you can see the ears, as they sometimes call it. It's designed like a classic Nikon lens, meaning again it'll metron your cameras correctly, and you can see the focus chip there, which allows it to obviously work with your SLR DSLR. This lens is fantastic. Now, being a 1.4 lens, it is bigger and heavier than the 40mm f2. So this lens has been packed many more times than this lens, but I did only pick up this lens last year. Why did I buy this lens? I bought this lens because I thought the Nikon 50mm lens offerings were not good enough. No mixed words. I'm lucky that I've had the experience of shooting with some nice lenses made by SLII, Voigtlander and Leica, and so then I was using 50mm lenses on my Nikon, and it always just seemed so unfair. The lenses were just not comparable to the likes of the camera manufacturers I just mentioned. Again, I'm sure there's an argument, and there might be some lenses which are really good for Nikon, and I do have some nice Nikon lenses, but I don't have good 50mm 1.4 Nikon lenses. I do have like the 51.4D. I looked at the 51.4G and I looked at the images, and then looked at the images from this, and for me this just absolutely smashes them. Again, it depends what you want. All these lenses are manual focus, proper lenses, metal and glass, built like a Leica or Zeiss, whatever you want to call it, and they just take really nice pictures. So talking pictures, before we get on to pictures, let me just quickly run through a bit of spec just to give you an idea if you're looking to buy these lenses. We'll just go through the three lenses and I'll try and keep it snappy. So in terms of spec, I'll just tell you the basics, because I'm sure if you're interested you'll look online to get the full details. The main things which are important: this is a 20mm lens which focuses as close as 0.2 meters. 0.2 meters. That is so useful on a wide lens. And if you think about it, why do I use SLR cameras? Nikon wide lenses focus as close as 0.7 meters. That is an absolutely humongous difference in real life terms when you see it kind of through the viewfinder. This is a very useful lens. Again, there's an SL, there's an SL2, but I believe this lens is now discontinued. I'll put links in the description, so when you find this video, if you're interested, click the links. These lenses are quite difficult to find. I couldn't even find enough completed listings on eBay to give you an idea of the price. I think they're around £300 to £400, but don't quote me on that because I couldn't really find any. There are some listed in Japan, so if you do want to get one sooner and you have no luck, maybe look on eBay and then look at the Japan listings, and you'll probably be able to get one much sooner. And I guess the other important feature that I often look at, weight. These weigh around 200 grams, which is 7 ounces, so nice and light. Front filter, 52mm front filter thread. Okay, next up, the 40mm SL. So again, you can get the SL with the rubber focus ring. Then you can get the SL2, which is very, very similar, but has the metal focus ring, is in no rubber grip on the outside. And then they re-released it as a 40mm SL2S. And you can actually buy the 40mm f2 SL2S, if I can say that, currently kind of on Amazon or whatever. So I'll include links to Amazon and again to eBay. In terms of prices, at the time I looked, you can pick up a 40mm f2 latest version. I'll come on to that in a second. £496, which is around $640 new. Used price, again, they're quite difficult to find, but click on the eBay link below and it'll give you an idea of what the current market price is at the time you watch this video. Hopefully some people will list a few if you're looking to buy one. Now before we move on to the 50mm, the 40mm has a close focus distance of 0.38 meters. So this Voigtlander 40mm will focus 2 times closer than this Voigtlander 40mm. Again, this is the reason why I really think there is a strong argument, depending on the type of photography that you do, to aim both a rangefinder camera and a SLR camera. I can take completely different photos with this Voigtlander 40mm than with the rangefinder Voigtlander 40mm because I can focus that much closer. Photos are coming, example photos. Again, it weighs 200 grams, which is around 7 ounces, 52mm filter thread, but there's a slight quirk. It is a 52mm filter thread kind of without the hood, but if you put on this small hood, which I tend to leave on because it kind of protects the lens, and it's so small it doesn't kind of annoy me. With the hood attached, it's now a 39mm filter thread, which is kind of like a size. And before we move on to the 58mm, let me just quickly explain again. An SL2N, I think they're called, or SL2, will look the same as this, but it'll have a metal focus ring, both discontinued. But then in 2017, Voigtlander re-released the 40mm f2 Ultron and called it the SL IIS. Now the 40mm SL IIS is quite a bit larger than the SL1 and the SL2. It's not quite as big as the 50mm, but I'm showing you this because it has the same focus ring. So this is the design of the SL IIS Classic, I think it's called, with the kind of the knurled focus ring. So if you're buying a new 40mm Ultron f2, expect it to look like this, almost identical, but a little bit shorter. And again, to finish these lenses, this is the Nokton 58mm f1.4 Nikon F mount. Now it doesn't actually mention on the lens what model it is, but I think this is the SL IIS because of the focus ring. Now you can buy this in all black, which means black nose or black top bit, but basically all black. Or you can buy the silver nose, which is silver on the top and black in the middle. And again, this is a current production lens, so you can buy this lens new for around £518, which is around $670 if you convert it. It might not be exact price for US dollars because I'm just converting the pounds into dollars and not looking at the US market to kind of get the local US market rate. So in all my videos, if the US dollar price is different from what you see in the shops, that's because I'm basing it on the UK rate and converting it into dollars on the latest exchange rate, roughly. Now, depending on the version, you can buy these lenses used for around £375. Now again, the 58mm also has a 52mm front filter thread and weighs 320 grams. In terms of close focus, this will go as close as 0.45 meters, but remember this is a 58mm lens, so it's longer, so it's going to look even closer. And 0.45 meters is again a lot closer than I can get with my Leica Summilux 51.4 on the Leica rangefinder system. So again, another kind of good argument for me is as to using this lens alongside a rangefinder camera. Obviously, if you're not into your rangefinder cameras, you can ignore that aspect and you can just enjoy SLR lenses for what they are. But I know some of you guys shoot Leicas, so that's why I'm trying to come at it from kind of that angle. And I guess quickly on the 58mm, again, like the 40mm, it's had various iterations, various releases, and the latest release was 2016, which I think this one, the Voigtlander Nokton Classic, I think they call it SL 58mm 1.4, SL IIS, should I say. The names get longer and longer. Okay, and I know I keep promising photos, but just quickly before I do. Okay, so those are the three lenses that I own, but there's also the 28mm. And if there are more lenses that I've not mentioned, feel free to drop me a message in the comments and educate me. But as I understand it, there were 4 Voigtlander SL lenses released in, as I say, various versions of each one. 4 focal lengths released, might be a better way to say it. 20, 28, 40 and 58. And they were released in Nikon Mount and Canon Mount. And I read somewhere that they may have been released in the past in maybe Pentax K Mount. I don't know much about Pentax. Possibly the old ones, but definitely not the new ones. I've not seen them listed. Let's look at some photos. Okay, so first up we have photos shot with the 20mm f3.5 Color Skopar SL lens. And as mentioned, these colour photos shot with Roisin are shot on the 2x crop sensor micro four thirds Lumix GH5 via the Viltrox Nikon 2 micro four thirds speed booster at 3.5. And just look how sharp these photos are. I mean, I'm not saying the photos are anything special. I was just so impressed at how sharp the final photos are on a micro four thirds camera, which some may think is not the best way to get the best photos. But they seem pretty good to my taste. Now, as I say, I shoot with quite a few nice cameras. Okay, this is the 20mm SL shot on the Leica CL, which is a 1.5 crop as I mentioned. So that's giving you a equivalent of a 30mm lens. And then here, just a few examples shooting the 20mm as a 20mm lens on a Nikon FE2 film camera. So 20mm is 20mm. Okay, next up is the Voigtlander Ultron 40mm f2 lens. Now I have quite a lot of examples with this lens. As I say, I've used it a lot on multiple overseas trips over the last few years since buying it or discovering this lens myself. But all these photos are shot on film. They'll be shot on the Nikon F4, Nikon F5, Nikon FM, Nikon FE2. And yeah, just such an amazing lens in it's sharp enough to use for film at f2, so I tend to shoot at f2 most of the time, and you can get really close to your subject. Okay, now here we have some digital photos shot with the Nikon D800, just to show you kind of the resolution on a digital sensor. You can really see on the eyelashes here, hopefully the sharpness even at f2. Okay, and then to finish, these are shot with the 58mm f1.4 Nokton. You can see the really shallow depth of field on these. It's quite easy to misfocus. These are shot on the Nikon FE2. This is Poland, again on the FE2 last year. And then these are in France, again on the FE2. Now these are, I think, at f2 or f2.8 because it was too bright. Okay, the video went on slightly longer than planned. My idea was to do a summary of the 3 lenses, and then maybe next year, if the interest was there, do a video on each lens. But I seem to have gone into quite a bit of detail even in this summary video. I guess what I can say is if there's enough kind of likes on this video, enough interest in Nikon mount lens videos, and then next year I can look to do some more Nikon mount lens videos for you. There are some nice lenses for Nikon, and I guess Canon and every other camera make. And when I discover something special myself, it's always nice to kind of share it to the wider population. And so in terms of a verdict, or potentially the title of this video, why are third-party lenses better? The reason I said that is because for me, Voigtlander SL lenses, SL2 lenses are better than the similar Nikon mount lenses because they are small and they are sharp wide open. 40mm f2, that's a great example. They seem, to me, this is optically superior than many of the Nikon lenses. And I'm talking about the 58mm 1.4. If you want a portrait lens, this is fantastic. If you shoot Nikon and you enjoy wide lenses, I know Nikon probably make nice wide lenses, but Nikon definitely don't make wide lenses that are this small and this good optically wide open. So I guess to the SLR shooters or the Nikon camp viewers, I think the Voigtlanders are better than the Nikons because they are excellent wide open, and generally speaking they are smaller than the Nikon counterparts. So quickly, if we go back to rangefinders for a second, you can get very nice rangefinder cameras and you can get 40mm lenses made by Voigtlander. The main difference is you can only get as close as 0.7 meters, whereas on the Voigtlander SL lenses you can get as close as 0.38 meters in this 40mm to 40mm example. So, and again, I guess to reiterate, you can get small Nikon cameras similar to a small rangefinder camera, and this 40mm lens is also pretty compact, as we've already looked at. So that's kind of my argument towards shooting with an SLR camera as well as a rangefinder camera. I was hoping to kind of give a bit to everybody. If you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up, and it gives me an idea of what videos to make and what videos not to make. The battery light's flashing, so I better go. Have a great day. Bye.